Welcome back to this plenary session, and a special welcome to all those who have joined us after the break. Without further ado, I call upon our president, Professor Ron Robin, to come to the stage to deliver his remarks to the governors.
Hello, once again. My notes? Where are my notes? Can you send me down my notes, please? Let's get this guy out of the way. Thank you. Just a little comedy to begin. Thank you so much for being here today. I really appreciate it. I'm going to just, I hope I won't miss any names. I'm going to acknowledge a few people who have been with me from the very, very beginning here. It is a great pleasure to be here with you, of course. Congratulate our new chairman of the board, Brad. I have a feeling this is the beginning of a beautiful friendship. It definitely will be an interesting friendship, this I can promise you. To Fred, who brought me here to the board, a man of good heart and brilliant mind, a gentleman and a scholar. Manfred and Sonia, who've been with me from the very beginning when I was Dean of Students at the very beginning. My wonderful friend, Silly Chalny, who's sitting here in the front row. I see that Jay is missing, but Jay, of course, we're wonderful to have Jay among us here as well. Jay Ruderman, Nadav Shachal, who's been with the university for God knows how long, and is now our interim chair of the board. Thank you so much for being here. We have, of course, Amos, my predecessor, Amos Shapira, who is not only a former president emeritus of the university, but comes to every single event and is always part of our community. We have members from Rambam, the hospital in which we work, in particular Esti Golan, who's sitting here in the front row. We have here an interesting guest too, David Guy, who is somewhere in this audience. I don't know where he is. He seems to be missing to me right now. David, can you raise your hand? There you are. David was one of the very first presidents of the Student Council in the 70s, right, David? Goes back to the 70s. Thank you for being here too. And of course, all the members of the university administration, in particular, I mentioned Baruch, who is CEO of the university, and my partner in crime, who will be talking a little later, Director Gustavo Mesh. Wonderful guests. Thank you all for being here today. And what I'll be doing in the next few moments is presenting the strategic plan. In the past 2.5 years, we have made some major leaps forward, which I'll be talking about, in our quest to become a comprehensive university, prestigious and proud. But I'm actually going to start, and it may be a bit of a surprise to you, with the challenges that we face. We face significant challenges as we move forward. I doubt there'll be much difference about the challenges. There may be differences. I'm sure there will be differences about the solutions that I offer. So our first challenge is a geographical challenge. We are a very isolated campus. It's a beautiful campus. It has a stunning view. But, this is not just about location. The Carmel campus is disconnected from the city. We have no connection to the urban ecosystem in which we are surrounded. And it's not only the drive to the city that causes us problems. We're just detached from everything that happens in our surroundings. And we do have a solution for it, the beginning of a solution. We are opening our Lokay City campus. It is already up and running, but we're in the middle of significant renovations, and that place will change very dramatically. It will change a whole concept, a whole outlook on the way we approach our ecosystem. A second challenge, and this is a challenge that has been with us from the very beginning, We are a predominantly teaching campus. We have not attracted a sufficient number of researchers, of luminaries, that we should have done over the years. In order to do that, to seduce the type of superstars that we need here, we of course need huge packages. We need sign-in packages that will bring us to fundraising, which we'll talk about later. But in order to change, we also need to have a larger number of great researchers among us. It's not that we don't have great researchers, it's the critical mass that we lose at this particular point. And that, of course, affects our international rankings. You all know, if we take the gold standard, which is Shanghai, we're ranked along 600 to 700. By the way, if we break it down by discipline, we're ranked quite high. In education, in social sciences, in the humanities, we're between 100 and 200 if we sort of break it down. But we miss critical fields. Without very strong natural sciences and medical sciences, without engineering, we will never rise in the rankings. The rankings are not everything, but it is something when we, for a university, aspiring to be something else. We also have issues with our branding. Spoke to Jay about it. Jay's not here right now. Our branding and positioning, we definitely suffer from a lack of differentiation, which we're trying to change. The multiversity theme has definitely caught on. It has produced a different image for the university. And I think the way we're framed in the media has changed quite dramatically. We used to be framed only on political and ideological issues. Now our science, definitely our innovation, you see a lot about that in the press. We have had some very spectacular events which have done well for us. You may remember offering the honorary doctorate to Angela Merkel, the chancellor, German chancellor. We received, Debbie Bernstein received an Israeli prize in sociology. We opened our campus in China. All these brought us the type of exposure in the press that we really want, and it has helped us a lot. And the first challenge, which is sort of like a cloud over the audience here, has to do, I'll tell you an anecdote. When visitors come to this campus and they hear about my title, they say, "Oh, you run this place." Well, hardly. University presidents don't run anything. I think it was once described, university described as organized anarchy. I think that's the best way to describe what we do over here. I try to manage rather than control, but it is very difficult. And it's no secret that we've experienced here turbulence at our university, and I'm sure it will come up in part of our conversations, which ended with the resignation of the chairman of the executive committee. And that's a subject that we have to deal with. We definitely have a problem with governance, something to do with personal issues, but it has mostly to do with the fact that the rules are not entirely clear. Now, let me just circle back to an academic issue, which I think is very important, and is the small number of STEM researchers we have on campus. So for those of us who are not members of our community, let me just mention STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math. We do not have enough. 25% of our faculty are STEM faculty. That's the lowest percentage among all Israeli universities, and that's unacceptable because these are the ruling disciplines. And they will continue to be the ruling disciplines, and if we don't make changes, I fear that we will not rise to where we would like to be. I'll illustrate that with a couple of graphs. So look at the following graph. This is the Israeli Research University's share in the Council of Higher Education's research model. Gustavo's going to talk in detail about this a little later, but I'm just going to mention a few things here. The bottom line here is that we are the bottom line. Here in the red, much closer to Ariel, a brand new university. They're in purple at the very bottom, then to Tel Aviv or to Hebrew. You may know this is a zero-sum game. The only reason we have risen, or the main reason that we have risen, not the only reason, is that Hebrew has declined over the years. But there's a glass ceiling. Right now we're about 7.5%, but we are the only non-comprehensive university in the country. And without the disciplines that we lack, engineering and strong medical sciences, I don't think we can arise much more than that. Perhaps we look at this in another way. I have a pie graph that you might want to look at and shows us in a little different manner. So this is the research model presented as a pie graph. And you can see that we clearly don't compete for about 30% of the budget. We're just not going to get it ever if we remain the same. Not going to change. And having seen these graphs, I think there are a number of working assumptions that I'd like to share with you. So let's have a look at some working assumptions. First and foremost, the national model is skewed in favor of engineering and medical science. Therefore, we are unable to compete for a large share of the national budget. That's our first working assumption. The second working assumption is that if we don't change, we will go down a slippery slope. And that slippery slope means that we end up becoming a teaching college rather than a university. We'll be sitting aside watching the establishment of a university on our doorsteps, the University of the Galilee, if we don't make changes, if we don't move into the Galilee, if we don't have a presence in the Galilee. And that will be comprised of the three northern colleges, the top northern colleges, and they will make a university that will actually compete with us. And finally, the rapid rise of Ariel, a brand new university, a comprehensive university, heavily budgeted and supported by national and international players. They, lined at the bottom of the graph that you saw before, they will rise up. And they will have a medical faculty soon. They have aspirations to be scientific leaders, and they will absolutely eclipse us if we don't do anything. So let me suggest that we look at it the following way. We're on the fast track to becoming the only non-comprehensive university in Israel. And if you want to know what that means, I'm going to present this in terms of sports. Let's look at leagues. So let's look at the Major League. The Major League is, of course, comprised of the Titans. We all know them. Hebrew, Tel Aviv, Technion, and Weizmann. These are the untouchables. This is the Major League. Close on breathing down their back is the Comprehensive League where the big boys play. And this is Ben Gurion. This is Bar Ilan, universities that were established more or less when we were established. And the third university there is Ariel. Make no mistake about it. Ariel belongs in this league. And then there's a third league, the Junior League. We are in that junior league. Note that we're the only player in that junior league, and you know there's no such thing as a league with one player. Followed by that is the college league. I've listed here 3 of the major colleges in the north of the country who are aspiring to join forces and become a university of their own. And I assure you, if we do not make a move, if we do not move into the Galilee, if we do not become a comprehensive league, there is no vacuum in nature. I know enough physics to know that. They will become part of the comprehensive league, and we will move down that slippery slope from a junior league, because you cannot be a player of one, into the league of colleges. We cannot let this happen. We need to have a plan, and we do have a plan. So we have a multi-tiered, a 3-tier plan to make sure that we don't go down that slippery slope. So the first thing we have to do is think about what and how we research. We have to add engineering as a field of research and the field of teaching. There's no doubt about it. We're on the cusp of expanding our data science. I'm sure that Gustavo will mention a few words about this as we move on. And we have to extend our reach into the health sciences. This is urgent. Without this, we will not become a comprehensive university, and we will not be able to compete with anybody else. At the same time, one cannot do any of this without necessary infrastructure. And the infrastructure means merging with Browder College of Engineering in Carmiel. It means opening up our city campus, which we have already done so far. It also means working with Rambam on the Discovery Tower, where we'll do our medical sciences. It means solidifying our marine sciences, which is already down on the coast. And thankfully, having an international footprint, we already have that. We have opened up our JTI building on the campus of East China Normal University in Shanghai. And then there's a third aspect, of course, which is no less important. It's the way we teach and educate our students. Now, we know that many of the professions that we have here at the university, many of the fields that we have here at the university are going to go through radical change as we move forward. And some of them might become redundant, irrelevant, I don't know what the right term is. So every student who goes here to the university will leave here with a toolkit. And that toolkit will contain quantitative reasoning, critical thinking, expository writing. So no matter what happens in the future, students leave here with a toolkit that will be able to confront the issues of the future. We have, as Gustavo will discuss, a multidisciplinary pedagogy. No more studying one field here at the university. Every student will be exposed to multiple disciplines, multiple ways of thinking before they leave this university. And of course, we understand that some students are not going to spend the full degree time here at the university, and we have to come up with a solution. One of the solutions we have is a micro degree. It's not a full degree, it's a micro degree. You take a certain amount of courses, you leave, you can always come back to fill the requirements for a full degree. If we figure out these three things simultaneously, by the way, I think we have a plan to actually execute the multiversity. Now, I use this term a lot, and there's some people in the audience who are perhaps not quite sure what I mean by multiversity. So let me just briefly remind you with some headlines. The multiversity is a multi-campus entity, a diverse network for discovery, economic expansion, and social mobility, to go back to the point that Fred made a little before. And if we manage to execute all this, this is what our campus is going to look like in the future. We're already well on the way to establishing this network in Haifa and in the north. We are in and of the city. We are in and of the region. Our marine sciences is downtown already. We still have to develop the Bat Galim Marine Hub, the Helmsley Discovery Tower. Are we on our 7th floor of the 10th floor? Oh my gosh. Every 2 weeks a floor. The big data campus, that's the Lori Loke City campus, is definitely on its way. We hope to merge with WIZO to have our environmental design campus downtown in the German colony, and we have great expectations that we will find a way and a will to merge with Browder College as we move forward. This interaction between the campuses is carefully designed and well calculated so that our network will create maximum opportunities for faculty and students to become integrated fully into the northern ecosystem and to become engines of change for the entire north of the country. So, I promise good news, and I'm sure you're a little tired of hearing from me. So I'm going to use here my assistant to help us move through this. Let's meet Malti, my not-so-old-time assistant. Malti, why don't you, the stage is yours.
So, the university has begun to implement its multiversity vision and strategic plan, which includes establishing the Lori Loke City campus. The Dylan Tauber building was acquired with the generous support of Chairman of the Board of Governors, Professor Alfred Tauber. We began to renovate the buildings on Palma and Hanemal streets. The buildings will be fitted with advanced research laboratories and classrooms for the newly established School of Data Sciences, thanks to the generosity of Mr. Lori Loke and Mr. Brad Bloom. Ron, anything you'd like to add? Go on, correct me, you always do.
Well, I'm not going to correct you. I'm just going to add that this is the place where the campus meets the city streets. Here are a few milestones. I will not go into detail about this under any circumstances, but I will, in private, in our committee meetings, go through this in great detail. We have a series of milestones here that we expect to meet. Our city campus will enable us to be an integral part of the ecosystem in that part of the city. where data science and digital medicine seems to be the prevalent way of doing business. There will be transportation, physical transportation, and of course digital communication, linking that campus with the Mount Carmel campuses and the other campuses. And I think it's quite exciting. Malti, why don't you describe the other projects, at least one more.
The Helmsley Health Discovery Tower at the Rambam Healthcare Campus is a joint project of Rambam, the University of Haifa, and the Technion. Areas of focus will include neurodevelopmental disorders, health sciences, and nursing research. The tower will include 20 floors, each 1,400 square meters, 6 of which will be allocated to the University of Haifa research laboratories, including a vivarium facility. Ron?
Well, this project, which is way on its way, has yet to receive approval of our executive committee and has to go through a whole variety of milestones before we move on. But this is a project that promises to be transformative and bring us in front and center into the field of medical sciences, which is so important for us all. This will be the largest scientific project in northern Israel, and its proximity to a medical school that belongs to another university is extremely important. We talk a lot about lowering barriers within the university between faculty A and faculty B, but we believe very strongly in lowering barriers between institutions, and we feel that the proximity to the Technion's medical school will allow us to interact with the Technion in a manner which was never possible before, and we look forward to that as we move forward. Malti, one more project.
The university has continued to advance the merger with Browder College of Engineering. The merger will expand the university's academic reach in the Galilee, particularly in the field of engineering, and will contribute to strengthening the entire northern region, as well as transforming the university into a comprehensive academic institution. Ron, you hardly spoke about the need for engineering. Would you like to enlighten us?
Boy, if you have another hour, I'll continue talking about engineering. It is an element which is crucial for the future of the university. Once again, there are stages, there are major hoops to go for. Before any of this happens, there has to be approval in our executive council, there has to be an agreement between us and Browder. There are differences between the way we approach it, we think we should approach engineering, and the way Browder thinks they should approach engineering. And we have to find ways of bridging that gap before we can move forward. I do want to show you here just very briefly something which is of some importance. And you can see here some of the costs of constructing the campus in the future. So you can see in order to make this campus in its first stage work, in stage one, the total building expenses is over 203 million shekels, and our income doesn't meet that number. It's plus minus 30 million shekels less than we need. This does not worry me in the least. If we are a university with great aspirations, we have to know how to raise money. We'll be talking about this a little later, but this year, for example, is a banner year at the university. We expect, by the time we reach the end of the fiscal year, to have raised $30 million. Now, when you compare that to other Israeli universities, that's modest. It's okay. But it's more than we've ever raised at this university. And I assure you, this is the beginning of a trend where we will act and behave the way a major university has to act and behave, and that is major fundraising. So all of the projects that I've mentioned here, the city project is already covered, totally covered. This project doesn't cause me sleepless nights because whatever money is missing will either come from government or the project will not happen. Nothing will come from the regular budget of the university. Everything will come from outside sources, otherwise these projects will not move forward. And that's an important thing to mention as we move ahead. So, there are multiple challenges as we try to execute our strategic plan. There are these milestones, you've seen them all. They are not simple, they're very difficult. There are many overlaps and redundancies when one does a multiple campus universities. That's expensive, and we have to figure out how we handle things like that. There's the huge cost of faculty recruitment. If we aspire to be a great university, we have to invest very heavily in new faculty. The management of a multiple campus university is extremely difficult. I do have some experience from my NYU days in doing that. There are legal challenges when one merges different bodies who have different constitutions together. And I go back to the point of fundraising. We're in the middle of deep discussions on how to produce a new fundraising mechanism here at the university, one that meets our aspirations. None of this will happen if we don't change our fundraising, that is for sure. But these challenges, I would like to make this point, are overshadowed by the incredible opportunities offered in our vision. Our vision promotes interdisciplinary culture. It expands the fields of research that we have here at the university. It balances the source of income that we'll get from government. It definitely provides us with opportunities to partner with industry, which we only do on the margins today. It'll improve our international rankings. It'll broaden our donor base, attracted by the variety of fields that we have over here. It will prevent the rise of a competing university in the Galilee. It will create branding and differentiation. It will provide access to university education for the entire north of the country, and will increase our student numbers quite dramatically. But of course, change isn't easy. I understand that. And we all want it. We all agree that we need change. But we're not always comfortable with the costs. It's difficult. Change is always done with mixed feelings. Fear, uncertainty, hesitation, but also anticipation, excitement, and hope. So let's be realistic. This is our best chance to become what we want to be. This is our chance to get to where we want to go. It's not easy. Everybody's quoting Albert Einstein, so I'll do that too. He once said, boy, this guy had a lot of free time, it seems, making up these sayings. The world as we have created it is a process of our thinking. It cannot be changed without changing our thinking. So, what I suggest is what I've just shown you right now. See, this is an invitation to think a little differently. We are Israel's first and only multiversity. And if we calculate correctly, if we dare, I assure you that in 2025, we will shine. I want to thank deeply all the devoted people who have allowed this to happen. This is a journey that requires many, many hearts and minds, most of whom are sitting in the room right now. I'd like to thank my friend and esteemed colleague, the Rector Gustavo Mesh. You're a true partner through thick and thin. Thank you, Gustavo. The University Senior Administration, Baruch Marzan, Ido Itzhaki, Dani Chernov, Michael Weiner, who I saw here somewhere in the audience, Gadi Barzilai, and of course all the deans, Jenny Coleman, the Dean of Students, my favorite dean for obvious reasons, our devoted legal counsel, Doron Shvepi, who is sitting there in the back, and of course all the members of the Board of Governors, members of the Executive Committee, faculty, administrative staff, our incredible student body. I see the chair of our student body sitting over there in the back. He's on your left and on your right of, hi guys, nice to see you there. Of course, the team in my office, the wonderful team in my office, Libby, Aviva, Hila, Revital, all the wonderful people in my office. So, what can I say to you? Let's turn on the lights together. Thank you. I'm happy to answer a few questions before we move on to the next presentation. Or I don't know what, Fred, do you suggest we hear all presentations and then respond to questions? Brad, I'm sorry, you're the new chair, I'm sorry. I've got to get used to this. Yeah. We're going to hear other presentations. Maybe we answer questions following Nadav's presentation, then we can have a broader perspective on some of the things that I've mentioned. So without further ado, we'll move on with the program. Thank you.
Brad, welcome to the Board of Governors. It's a big challenge. Ron is still here. Thank you for a brilliant presentation. It was exciting. I want to thank to Fred. I'm not sure that he's still here. Fred for his 6 years serving Haifa University, and for something else. All the time, I had a marketing advisor that tell me that if my CEO is adapting my slide, I succeed. So I saw in the beginning that you adapt my slide. So always, now I can see that everybody will understand what I want to present. I was born in a kibbutz 60 years ago. I never leave Israel, so you can hear it from my English accent. And I'm sure that for some of you it will be very hard to understand the English. But I'm standing here because Muli Eden, that I'm not sure that if he's in the audience or not, was resigned. He was leading the executive committee in the last 2 years. He's a brilliant guy, and he has some conflict inside, and he took his decision to resign. And now I'm in charge on the process to try and to bring a brilliant chairman for the executive board that can help the university and the other manager to run the plan that you saw or some other plans. So I want to thank to Muli, even if he's not here, for his 2 years that he served in the university. He did a great job, but he took his decision to resign. Now, to give a presentation, you need, איך אני מעביר את זה? בימני? You need, first of all, excellent story, incredible story. You need very good slides, and you need how to tell joke in the beginning and in the end. And I will not go to do all of this. So because I'm a temporary chairman, the only thing that what I will try to do is to put a snapshot on the situation that we are standing now and not to go what is my opinion, just to put some pictures that I think that all of us, we can agree on them. So this is the challenge. I think everybody spoke about the ranking, so I don't have to go back and speak about it. University is strategic. It's something very important. In the end of the day, this is the direction that you take institute like Haifa and move it for several years, not just 6 years, 10 years, 12 years. And until now, Ami Ayalon, that was the former executive chairman, Muli, after him, we didn't succeed to reach to current and agreed a strategic for long terms, and this is something very important to university. When we're speaking about lack of students from the central, the meaning is if Haifa University is succeeding to bring brilliant students from other parts of Israel to learn here in the university. I think that Ron already spoke about it and prompt about the computer science and data science. So I think that everybody can agree that we are in the beginning of the path. And we have lack of engineering and medical faculty, but not a doubt that this has harmed the university. So what is the conflict? In the beginning, I tried to call it management crisis, but I can adapt that in an institute like university, that is a huge institute with a lot of people that acting from different sides. Let's call it a conflict. This is the reason why the chairman of the executive committee resigned. After him, it was resigned the chairman of the finance committee, and I'm trying, and I spoke with other members, to take a deep breath and to stay with me on board, to allow me to choose a new chairman and to build a new management board that will go forward and try to work with all the other parts to develop the university. Ron spoke, by the way, there is no debate about the needs of engineering and medical faculty, so this is not the debate. The debate is if the Discovery Tower and the broader project lead us fast in the best way to reach these goals. This is the debate. And because each of one is a unique, in each of one is a unique situation, but I don't think that I want to go to details in this, let's call it in this big meeting, but still it's involved with a huge amount of money that we have to promise that we have. The budget of the university is very tight. We don't have any reserve. We cannot invest on all this, even 1 shekel that's coming from the normal budget of the university. And if we give obligation, and we will not succeed to meet the obligation, not now, not in the first year or the second year, in the third year, we are risk ourselves. Now the debate is how to reach to excellent academic in this subject. And this is, I'm sure, Ron, that later if people will want to ask questions, Ron will answer, and maybe I can answer from some of my view. So this is the risk. We spoke about the future data science, artificial intelligence. I think that we have to think again what is engineering faculty. Engineering faculty is mechanical engineering. By the way, I'm mechanical engineering from Ben-Gurion University. So it's a big question how you look on engineering and how you want to penetrate to engineering and what you want to adapt. It's a debate and how you want to build it. This was the joke. So, Fred, you used this slide, but I brought this slide as a joke because I'm not sure that always I believe to what is written here. Anyhow, what is the opportunity? Always opportunity is in new people. So we have a new chairman of the board. We will have a new chairman of the executive committee. And I wrote this president to be elected, not something against Ron, by the way. This is the chance for these 3 people, Brad, Ron, and the new chairman of executive, to think and to reach to agreed current understanding agenda or a strategic plan for future. This is what they can do now. Once we will reach to a strategic that everybody agreed on it, then it will be much, much more easy to them to choose on the opportunities. Broader is opportunities. You have to check yourself, is it standing in your long-term as a strategic? Discovery Towers is opportunity. The question if it serves your long-term as strategic. I don't say yes, I don't say no, I'm just putting it as a question. So if someone will understand that I'm speaking against someone, no, it's the opportunity to create understanding between the 3 people that leading the university, and this is very, very important. That's all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Shachar. I now call our rector, Professor Gustavo Mesh, to give his report.
Good morning, Boker Tov, buongiorno. Dear members of the Board of Governors, dear members of the direction of the administration of the university, thank you for being here and to listen to us and to be part of the university. Where is the clicker? Here's the clicker, okay. My presentation is going to be brief. It's working there, but not here. Okay. And, but I want to start with something that comes up all the time, and maybe it's part of the dilemmas of this university. A couple of days ago, I was in London in a meeting with the chief data scientist of the Times of Higher Education World Ranking of Universities, and we had a meeting of 2 hours and a half, a very productive one. I learned a lot. But he starts saying, listen, I have something to tell you, and let's put it out of the way because it's not the center of the meeting. Have you decided what is the name of your university? Because we are collecting data, and we sometimes get the feeling that there are 2 universities in Haifa, 3 universities, the Technion, the University of Haifa, and Haifa University. So this is a call, it is my call, after 40-something years of the university, let's use the right name. First of all, in the Board of Governors, it is the University of Haifa and not Haifa University. I don't have any problem with that, but it makes a lot of trouble. I have to have a big fight with my faculty members to change the name, to decide that it's the University of Haifa. The second thing, and before I start my presentation is actually on the, it's on the challenges that that we face in the university and how we are dealing in the short run, because Ron has expanded on the long run. I want to talk about the short run. But before that, there is something that we never mention, and it's very, very important. It is part of my life. Unfortunately, 24 hours a day, it is all the time in my back, and it is one of the huge challenges of any university in Israel but us. And it is called the regulator. I remember the days that business people and financial people were telling me that the regulation in Israel is awful. And entrepreneurs said that they don't want to invest in Israel because the regulation is awful. Nothing is awful like the regulation of the Council of Higher Education. And every single line that you see here is a fight, a real fight that this university has to do. A small story. We are talking about the Loki campus, downtown campus. There is a behind on the scenes story. A year and a half ago, the Council of Higher Education realized that the University of Haifa has done a crime. It's teaching downtown. Who approved that? And that was the question that I was asked. And said, listen, I really don't understand, because the Technion is teaching in Bat Galim and Tel Aviv, Bar Ilan is teaching in Tzfat, Ben Gurion is teaching in Eilat, Jerusalem is teaching in Rehovot, Arad Sofim, and you name it. Tel Aviv doesn't need to teach in any place. They are teaching in their country. It's a different country. So we are the only university in Israel that has to ask for a permission. Yes, and you didn't ask. And you are against the rules of the Council of Higher Education and ask what is the rule. 1962, a rule that says that universities cannot teach outside the campus. So that opened a 9 months of discussions, letters, fight, until all the entire issue was brought to the Council of Higher Education. You have to understand, it is the Council of Higher Education is how many, Ron? 40 people? 40 people that meet once a month and take the major decisions on everything. And we were successful. We were allowed temporarily to teach downtown in the building that we have. And it was upon that we present a full request that we are going to do downtown something that is different that we are doing here, that has a national priority, that is important for the state of Israel. And so we made a large document on the importance of big data, downtown, and then we passed that exam. But again, the approval of our program in BSc in data science was conditional on the approval to teach there. So we were stuck on the inability to open an academic program because we were not allowed to teach in some place. The story is a happy end. We already have all the approvals that we need, but it's part of how you build academic programs in Israel. It is not that the university is autonomous to decide what it's going to teach, what it's going to do, but it has to go through a process that's a terrible one. So let's speak very briefly about the challenges to the University of Haifa. And these are the three that I'm going to talk. There are many others, but I'm going to focus on that. You probably will argue with me that why I'm focusing on teaching. The reason that I'm focusing on teaching academic programs is because that in the main areas that we want to develop, any laboratory needs doctoral students and MA students. And if you don't have a very strong BA program, you don't have strong MA students, and obviously you don't have strong PhD students. So the issue of teaching and research are not two different words, are words that are related, one with the other. Probably the only place that is not related, but they have the privilege of being only a research institution is Weizmann. The other universities in Israel, all of them are called research and teaching institutions or teaching and research institutions, and the reason is that they are linked. The first one is the increased attraction of students to to multidisciplinary programs versus disciplinary. This is a graph that describes the percentage of students in Israel over the last 35 years. The yellow line that you see, the vertical yellow line that you see, is 1990, the day that the colleges start operating in Israel, the 60-something colleges that are operating in Israel. The low line, this one, is the one that shows the development of the percentage of students over the years in interdisciplinary and multidisciplinary programs. As you can see, there is an increase from 10% in 1980 to about 30% 30 years later. So there is an increasing percentage of students that study multidisciplinary programs. What happens with disciplinary programs? This is this line, the upper one, and you see the drop in the percentage of students that are in disciplinary programs. Disciplinary programs are political sciences, sociology, psychology, philosophy, history. In these programs, you see over the years a very huge drop of students in these disciplinary programs, and at the same time, an increase in the students, in the percentage of students in Israel that study multidisciplinary and transdisciplinary programs. The third line are the applied programs. Applied programs is engineering, but not only. It is also the professions, law, nursing, physiotherapy, that you also see a very steady increase over the years. So this is a very, very beginning of a picture. And this picture is very, very fast. Where is the computer? There? Sham. Okay. So this is the picture, summarizing very clearly We have a drop on the percentage of students in Israel that are in disciplinary programs. We have an increase in multidisciplinary programs, and we have an increase in applied programs. So what we are doing in the short run, we opened in the last 2 years more and more multidisciplinary programs, marine technologies and MA in marine technologies. That keep in mind that marine technologies is actually marine engineering. We call it technologies because they don't allow us to call them engineering. We are starting in October 2019 a BSc program in data sciences. We are opening an MA program in educational psychology. We have already opened, and it's running for the 2nd year, a BA program in cognitive sciences that is very successful. We already started 2 years ago digital humanities that combine the humanities with information systems. And we are opening an MA program in legal studies law for non-lawyers. We already in the past, the trend in the university has been to multidisciplinary BA and MA degrees. This is the plan, and this is the plan that was finally, after months of discussions and interchanges with the Council of Higher Education, we are submitting these programs for approval. A BSc in Marine Sciences, one of the most important areas of this university in terms of the uniqueness and also of the quality is Marine Sciences. We clearly can lead the country in the study of Marine Sciences, but we now have a graduate program, so we have only graduate degrees in Marine Sciences. There is a need in a BSc program that is in Marine Sciences that is interdisciplinary, and it will be unique because we'll be combining marine biology, marine geosciences, and marine civilizations. That is very, very unique, and we believe that will be put more strength in this area in which we are accepted as the leading university in this field. We are planning, and we are planning to submit a program in medical imaging that is something that will be unique in Israel. There is no program in medical imaging, and even there is no university degree in what is in the history used to be Röntgen, or technical Röntgen, but this is not going to be technical Röntgen. This is going to train scientists in the area of medical imaging. Some of them will go to the practice, but most important, we expect that some of them will go to research and will support our medical research. BSc in biology physics, or biophysics actually, there is a very, in the field of the sciences, there is a very strong idea that biology is going to depend more and more and more on physics. And we have already a program in biology, and this will make our biology program for the next generation of research. We are going to open a BA in criminology and police studies, and another interdisciplinary program that we are going to open is a combined BA in political science, philosophy, and economics. An important thing to mention is that all these programs will require excellent students because the entrance to this program is going to be very high. Some of them, as you see, are in the natural or exact sciences, will require very high understanding of mathematics and physics, and the others in the social sciences like political science, philosophy, and economics, the level should be at least economics, so it has to be accepted to economics to study the other things. The second challenge is increased attraction of students to computer science and engineering in Israel. And this has to do with the clear national policy that has put computer science and engineering as a national priority over the years. How do we know that? This is the table, and you can see there are two trends. It's a table of 20 years of the percentage of students in higher education. You can see in red that engineering, the percentage of students in engineering and architecture has increased from 12.5 to almost 19% until 2017. Since then, there is a huge effort of the Council of Higher Education to increase that more. And the percentage of students in computer science and mathematics is another 7%. The end result is that today, or 2017, 1 out of 4 students in Israel were studying engineering or engineering and computer science. When most of the universities, computer science is also engineering. Also, only in our university is a BSc in computer science and not in engineering. But that means that 1 out of 4 students are there, and we are not competing for them almost. What happened to other traditional areas? You can see the first line. It is painful, but it's reality, that if in 1996, almost 19% of the students in Israel were studying the humanities, now it is only 6%. And you can see also in the social sciences that it's in much better shape, but yet in 1996, 24%, 1 out of 4 students were studying social sciences, and these were the big days of Haifa, of the University of Haifa. I was hired in 1994, and I remember that in 1996 we were full of students. We could choose everything. Completely different the situation today. Social sciences has dropped from 24% of the students in Israel to 18%, and is going down. We don't know what to expect in the future. So this is a major change, a major challenge for us, because our traditional areas, the social sciences and humanities, that back in 1996, only in these 2 areas, and even if I include here a field like education, you can see that at that time we were competing 60% of the students in Israel were in our traditional fields. Now it goes down to 30%, to half of that. So something that we have to keep an eye on that, because this is something that we see over the last 20 years, and as I see and we see what's going on in terms of support of the government, direction of the government, planning of the government, this is the direction that the country is going, and probably the society at all is going. What is the meaning of that? The first chart is the income of a faculty member from teaching. And you can see that by far, the income of a faculty member per faculty member in teaching is by far higher in engineering. It's the highest. And the second one is the faculty member income for research, from research. And although it's not in the first place, but it's in the third place. Our traditional areas are at the bottom of the graphs. There is another thing, also a shift in the distribution by area, and the major cities in Israel have witnessed a decrease in the percentage of students. Jerusalem went down from 22% of the students to 13% of the students of the country. Haifa also went down in the same proportion from 22 to 13%. But the only difference is that in our case, the north has increased. And today, 10% of the students of Israel are in the north, and only 13% are in Haifa. So we have to keep an eye in the north as well, because there is demand of students there, and some of them come to us, but some of them, 9.7%, don't come to us. That's it, yeah. So what we can do in the short term, and we are doing that. In the short term, we increase the enrollment of students in the areas that are close to engineering, which means computer science, information science, and mathematics. This is done with a huge effort. It's not so easy. In the case of computer science, we are opening preparatory courses in the summer, so we can bring students that are on the border to get more training in mathematics, more training in computer science, and eventually will get accepted to the program and will be able to succeed in the program. And this year was the first pilot, and we were quite successful in the number of new students that got into the Department of Computer Science and Information Sciences. It's a preparatory summer that they have to pass, and they study very hard there. And we certainly see in the last 2 years that we have a growth of students in information sciences, in mathematics, and a beginning of a growth in computer science. We have increased also the faculty members in computer science, information sciences, and mathematics. Over the last 3 years, we have made a real change there. Again, it is not a dramatic change because there are not so many good faculty members out there that you can hire, but we have been able to hire, I believe, a couple of good ones. We are opening a BS program in big data that is also in the short run the rapid change that we can do. And we are now, we win a tender for a big data research center that will need also the support of the university, but it will support all these programs together. The long-term response, and it's something that the Board of Governors, the Executive Committee have to take into account, is that we need to develop engineering. 1 out of 4 students in Israel go to that field and bypass the University of Haifa. Now the question is how to do that. So academically, it is a huge challenge. One thing that is not academic, I can say, there is no chance that the Council of Higher Education will allow to the University of Haifa to start engineering in Haifa. We need to bypass the city of Haifa, so Braude is actually the most accessible option, but if somebody else, if anyone has a different idea, maybe we can build in another place, but we are not going to get any acceptance of opening in this campus engineering just because of our neighbor. And from a point of view of the national planning, they will not agree to have 2 engineering schools in the same city in Israel. And that was mentioned to me clearly. The relevance of academic studies, and this is a new challenge that is being faced not only in Israel, but all over the world. To what extent academic studies are still relevant to get a high-paying job in the labor market? Students or potential students are asking these questions. And we apparently we're starting to see in Israel also people that are at the age of being students, that they have the capability of being students and are bypassing the university and not coming to get an academic education. And here our response is to create a multi-degree. The multi-degree is made up of double majors, but at the same time we were allowed by our regulator to take out from any major 5 credit points and to create a minor, and we structured them in 3 different minors that will provide tools, we expect the tools for the labor market, and make to these students a thing on bypassing academic education, to believe that in the university there is a way to get tools and skills that are relevant to the job market. One is a minor in entrepreneurship and innovation. The second is a minor in data sciences. And the third already existed before, a minor in landscapes. And all of them are going to be in place in October 2019. And I believe that I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Mesh. We are now moving on to the awards and prizes part of this plenary session. We begin with a very unique award, one you voted on at the beginning of the morning. An award that is being presented today for the very first time to a talented and prolific researcher. The University of Haifa Board of Governors Distinguished Professor Award is presented to Professor Wendy Sandler. I invite our rector to the podium to share with us the reasoning for presenting Professor Sandler with the award.
The University of Haifa Board of Governors Distinguished Professor Award is presented to Professor Wendy Sandler in recognition of her international standing and her groundbreaking research of the linguistic characteristics of sign languages. Her innovative findings contribute to scientific knowledge about the human language capacity generally, both spoken and signed. With her late colleague, Professor Irit Meir, she wrote the first and only book describing the linguistic structure of Israeli Sign Language and how a small group of immigrants from all over the world eventually grew into a community with its own language here in Israel. Over the last 15 years, Professor Sandler and her colleagues have also investigated the emergence of a sign language that developed without influence from any other language through the communication of deaf people in a Bedouin village in the Negev. Scientists recognize that this rare research on a newly emerging language sheds light on how any language might have evolved in the human species. Professor Sandler is a creative and active researcher who has won numerous prestigious national and international research grants and awards. She is also the recipient of the Landau Prize in Science. And under her direction, her lab is also engaged with the Israel deaf community in promoting its goals for better education, greater access through sign language interpreting, and personal self-fulfillment. We are proud of the body of work of this outstanding researcher and the prestige it has offered the science of linguistics in Israel and her contribution to the large community. Professor?
For the presentation of the award, I call Mr. Brad Bloom to join the rector on stage. It is with great privilege I call Professor Wendy Sandler to the stage. Congratulations, Professor Sandler. We now proceed to the presentation of the Rector Awards, which has become a blessed tradition of this session. The Rector will now say a few words to start us off. Please, Professor Mesh, the podium is yours.
The University of Haifa places a great emphasis on high-quality teaching, improving teaching quality, cultivating excellent research, and highlighting the task of teaching and educating. A good teacher inspires hope, ignites the imagination, and instills a love of learning that brings our students to fulfill their human potential. This year, the recipient of the University of Haifa Teaching Award is Dr. Daphne Regev from the School of Art Therapy. The Rector Research Excellence Awards were established in 2015. The core of the University of Haifa are innovative ideas and breakthrough research. Our national and international reputation is built on the excellence of the research undertaken here, across a broad spectrum of activity and disciplines by some of the nation's best minds. The Rector Research Excellence Awards and the Dusty Miller Scholarships are designed to recognize and reward important and pioneering work and recognize young and advanced faculty members for outstanding performance and excellence in research and innovation. This year, the recipients of the University Young Excellence Researchers are Dr. Or Meir and Dr. Noga Ron-Tzvi, both from the Department of Computer Sciences. The recipients of the University of Haifa Advanced Researchers are Professor Mor Pelek from the Department of Information Systems, and Professor Michal Gal from the Faculty of Law. The recipient of the Dusty and Etty Miller Fellowship Award, Dr. Tami Ariel Ben-Shachar from the Faculty of Law.
Thank you, Professor Mesh. The Rector will remain on stage for the awards. The first prize to be awarded today is the Lecturer Prize for Outstanding Teaching. Our deserving recipient is Dr. Daphne Regev from the University's Graduate School of Creative Art Therapies. For the presentation of the prize, I call to the stage Professor Gad Barzilai, the Vice Rector, to join the Rector. Congratulations, Dr. Regev. We shall now proceed to the presentation of the Outstanding Researcher Prizes. Before we begin, we shall show a short movie about the 4 recipients.
Hello, my name is Multi, short for Multiversity, and indeed, the 21st century was witness to new heights in the field of computer science. We at the University of Haifa are also proud to contribute our part. Our rector, Professor Gustavo Mesh, has chosen to highlight 4 outstanding researchers who are all connected to the field of computer science. And since we are a multiversity, they come from a variety of different fields and reflect our commitment to interdisciplinary research. So let's get to know them. We start with Dr. Or Meir from the Department of Computer Science.
היום אנחנו רגילים לחשוב שהמחשבים עושים הכל, אבל מסתבר שיש משימות שחלקן נראות אפילו מאוד פשוטות, שמחשבים לא יכולים לבצע. סיבה אחת לחקור את זה א', זה מדע בסיסי, זה סקרנות לגבי העולם. הסיבה השנייה זה באמת שאם אנחנו יודעים מה קשה לעשות, לפעמים אנחנו יכולים ללמוד מזה איך לעקוף את הקשיים. חשיבות נוספת של התחום שלנו קשורה לקריפטוגרפיה. כשאני קונה משהו באמזון, אני שולח להם את מספר כרטיס האשראי שלי, ואני רוצה לוודא שאף אחד לא יכול לגנוב את המספר שלחתי להם בדרך. אם אנחנו רוצים לבנות מערכות הצפנה שאי אפשר לפרוץ, אנחנו צריכים לדעת מה מחשבים לא יכולים לעשות. רק אם נדע מה מחשבים לא יכולים לעשות, אנחנו נדע איך לבנות מערכות הצפנה שמחשבים לא יוכלו להתגבר עליהן.
So computers do not know everything, and it turns out that they also make mistakes. Let's meet Dr. Noga Ron-Tzvi, also from the Department of Computer Science.
אני בעצם מפתחת שיטות אוטומטיות להבטחת תקשורת אמינה בין מחשבים. אז כולנו משתמשים במחשוב ענן כדי לשמור נתונים שלנו, למשל באימייל, כל האימיילים שלנו נשמרים על הענן, כל הנתונים שיש לנו ברשתות החברתיות, קבצים שאנחנו מעלים לכל מיני תוכנות שיתוף קבצים למיניהן, ובעצם כל הנתונים המאוד גדולים האלה, הרבה נתונים, מפוזרים על חוות שרתים ענקיות שמפוזרות בכל רחבי העולם. ובעיה מרכזית זה שהשרתים האלה לעתים קרובות נופלים. ויש 1,000 שרתים, סיכוי טוב שאחד מהם ייפול כל הזמן. ובעצם כל מיני פתרונות שקיימים של לשכפל את המידע הרבה פעמים, בעצם יש להם עלות מאוד גבוהה. ובעצם מה שאני פיתחתי איזושהי שיטות שאנחנו מפתחים, ויש גם שימושים בעוד תחומים במדעי המחשב, כמו הצפנה, קריפטוגרפיה, אבטחת מידע, קריאת נתונים ולמידה חישובית.
Now it's time to look not at what computers do not know, but how we use them for our benefit. Let's meet Professor Mor Peleg from the Department of Information Systems.
בעולם שלנו היום, עם כל הטכנולוגיה של המידע, עם סנסורים, עם תיקים רפואיים ממוחשבים, עם תוכנות שאנחנו יכולים לבנות אותן בצורה אינטליגנטית, עם שימוש בביג דאטה ובכל מיני אלגוריתמים מתוחכמים, אנחנו יכולים לעזור לאנשים. בעיקר אותי מעניין לעזור לחולים ולרופאים שמטפלים. בצד אחד ידע רפואי, בצד שני יש לנו את התיק הרפואי הממוחשב שמאחסן את כל הנתונים על החולה. ואז באמצע יש לנו מערכת תומכת החלטה. אנחנו יכולים ככה לחבר את הידע, שהוא מפה גדולה על כל המחלות שיכולות להיות לכל בן אדם, עם הנתונים של פציינט אחד. ואז מתוך המפה הזאת לטייל במסלולים שהם ספציפיים לפציינט אחד. המערכת באמצע תומכת החלטה, היא נותנת את ההמלצות ישירות למשתמשים. זה יכול להיות רופאים וזה יכול להיות החולים עצמם. רופאים לא אוהבים שמחשב יחליף אותם. וזה באמת לא הכוונה שלנו. אנחנו רק רוצים להקל על העומס הקוגניטיבי שלהם. זה לא תמיד קל לשכנע אותם. הם רגילים לצורה אחרת, הם רגילים שהם מומחים ושיש להם איזה מין אומנות. ואז אין להם את האמון באלגוריתמים. אפילו כשאנחנו מראים להם עם סטאדיז וניסויים, שהמערכת היא מתנהגת ונותנת המלצות שהן טובות לפחות כמו של מומחה ויותר טובות מרופאים זוטרנים.
So yes, technology can help, but it's also a little scary. To see how we can ensure that technology will help us achieve well-being, let's meet Professor Michal Gal from the Faculty of Law.
תחום המחקר העיקרי שלי הוא דיני התחרות, תחום משפטי שעוסק בהסדרה של שווקים על מנת לוודא שאנחנו כצרכנים נהנים ממה שתחרות יש לה להציע. ובשנים האחרונות לקחתי את הידע שלי ניתוח דינמי של שווקים, והתחלתי להכיל אותו בתחום יותר רחב שנקרא משפט וטכנולוגיה. מה שמיוחד בכלכלה הדיגיטלית הוא שהיתרון התחרותי מבוסס פעמים רבות על ביג דאטה. מבוסס על בעצם מידע, כן? והניתוח שלו על מנת ליצור פרדיקציות, כן? שיכולות להשפיע עלינו בהרבה מאוד צורות בחיים שלנו. למי שיש הרבה יותר מידע ויכול לנצל אותו ולנתח אותו בצורה הרבה יותר טובה, יש אפשרות גם ליצור מוצרים יותר טובים, אבל גם לדעת יותר טוב מי אנחנו ואולי לנצל את המידע באופן שיוצר מניפולציה באינטראקציה כלפי הצרכן. למשל, העדפות השונות שלנו יכולות לגרום לכך שאתה ואני נראה מחירים שונים לגבי אותו מוצר. ואז עולות הרבה מאוד שאלות, כן? האם זה ראוי, האם זה צודק, האם אנחנו רוצים להתערב. יש כאן גם שאלות כמובן של פרטיות, שאלות מאוד מאוד חשובות שעולות בהקשר הזה. המטרה שלי היא על ידי הבנה של הטכנולוגיה והשווקים, ליצור ולהציע רגולציה שבעצם יחד תביא למקסום של הרווחה החברתית לטובת כולנו.
We shall begin with the Outstanding Researcher Prize. For the presentation of the prize, I call to the stage Professor Ido Itzhaki, Vice President and Dean of Research, to join the Rector. The first recipient to be called to the stage is Professor Mor Peleg from the Department of Information Systems. Please come up to the stage, Professor Peleg. Congratulations, Professor Peleg. Our second recipient in this category of Outstanding Researcher is Professor Michal Gal from the Faculty of Law. Please come up to the stage, Professor Gal. Congratulations, Professor Gal. Now we proceed to the award of the Outstanding Young Researcher Prize. This year we have two deserving recipients. I have the pleasure of calling our first recipient in this category to the stage, Dr. Noga Ron-Tzvi of the Department of Computer Sciences. Congratulations, Dr. Ron-Tzvi. Our second deserving recipient in this category is Dr. Or Meir of the Department of Computer Sciences. Please come up, Dr. Meir. Congratulations, Dr. Meir. Our final award for today's session is the Dusty and Etty Miller Fellowship for Outstanding Young Scholars. For the presentation of the award, I would like to once again call to the stage Professor Gad Barzilai, the Vice Rector. This long-standing and prestigious award has been part of the session for many years, and its talented recipients are a source of great pride for the university. This year's recipient from the Faculty of Law is no exception. I have the honor to call to the stage Dr. Tami Harel Ben Shachar. Dr. Harel Ben Shachar will now respond on behalf of the recipients.
Honorable members of the board, chairmen of the board, the former chairman, Professor Fred Tauber, chairman-elect, Mr. Brad Bloom, president of the university, Professor Ron Robin, rector of the university, Professor Gustavo Mesh, Vice Rector Gadi Barzilai, faculty members and guests. My name is Tami Harel Ben Shachar. I'm a faculty member at the Faculty of Law and the academic director of the legal clinics. My research focuses on educational justice from the perspectives of political philosophy and law. I'm interested in the moral duties that we owe children who suffer from educational disadvantage, children from poor families, racial minorities, and children with disabilities, and in the translation of these moral duties into legal doctrine. For example, I examine the tension between the duty of integration between children from different backgrounds and different levels of ability, and between other moral and legal duties, such as parental freedom, excellence, and the right to religious education. And while a lot of my research is theoretical, my motivation, as I think any legal scholar's motivation, is to promote justice in the real world by establishing the moral and legal infrastructure upon which justice may be obtained. It is my great honor to receive the 2019 Dusty and Etty Miller Award. I want to send my heartfelt gratitude to the Miller family, to Leslie and Ian Miller for honoring me with your family prize and for your vote of confidence in my work. I hope to be able to continue to contribute through research and teaching to promoting educational justice. I also want to thank, on behalf of myself and my fellow award winners today, the University of Haifa for being such a supportive academic and intellectual home. I want to thank the Faculty of Law, which I am so proud and privileged to be a part of, and last but not least, my family, who are an unwavering source of help and inspiration. Borrowing from Hillary Clinton's well-known saying, "It takes a village to create research," and you are all my village. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are about to embark on the final stage of this plenary session, celebrating Professor Evyatar Nevo's 90th birthday. Please remain seated as Professor Nevo comes up to the stage. Welcome, everyone. to the 90th birthday celebration of Professor Eviatar Nevo. Welcome, Professor Nevo. Guests and all those who joined us for this event. Let us begin with a short clip prepared by the university for the occasion. Enjoy.
כל החומר שלנו, שבונה הכימי, שבונה את הגוף שלנו, הוא אבק כוכבים. ולמעשה השאלה הגדולה היא, איך מאבק כוכבים נותר המוח האנושי? איך?
כבר למעלה מ-70 שנה מנסה פרופסור אביתר נבו לענות על השאלה הזו. ב-50 השנים האחרונות הוא עושה זאת באוניברסיטת חיפה. לכבוד יום הולדתו ה-90, ניסינו להבין את סוד הקסם של אחד ממקימיה.
אז אני מגיע מהבית ב-6:30 בבוקר, יושב פה, לא זז. קניתי לי מקרר קטן, הסטודנטים שלי מביאים את הסלט מקפה דשא, אני אוכל פה את ארוחת הצהריים, ב-7 אני עוזב את המקום הזה, אחרי 12 או 13 שעות עבודה, רצופות, ואני הולך הביתה, אוכל ארוחת ערב, הולך לישון, קם ב-4:30 בבוקר ומגיע ב-6:30 לעבודה.
הנה כך התחיל הסיפור האבולוציוני שלו באוניברסיטת חיפה.
אני מגיע לאוניברסיטת חיפה ב-1970, לפי בקשתו של הנשיא הראשון של האוניברסיטה, אליעזר רפאלי, כדי להקים את מעבדות המחקר לביולוגיה כבסיס לבית הספר לרפואה. ועד כעבור שנה, לפני שהתחיל הדינמיקה של כל המערכת לפעול בצורה רצינית, היא נלקחה לטכניון. ואז אני עמדתי בפני דילמה, והדילמה הייתה פשוטה. יש הרבה מחלקות לביולוגיה במדינת ישראל, והשאלה הייתה, מה אני עושה? עוד מחלקה לביולוגיה? ואז החלטתי, לא. אני רוצה לבנות משהו ייחודי ומצטיין ברמה בינלאומית. ואז בניתי את המכון לאבולוציה. כמו כל יצור שעובר אבולוציה, גם המכון לאבולוציה עבר אבולוציה. המכון לאבולוציה עבר אבולוציה ממעבדה 1 או 2 ל-25 מעבדות.
ב-50 השנים שחלפו פרסם פרופסור נבו למעלה מ-35 ספרים ו-1,500 מחקרים בכתבי העת היוקרתיים בעולם. הוא הנחה למעלה מ-70 דוקטורנטים מישראל ועד לסין. כדי להבין איך החלה משיכתו לחקר האבולוציה, צריך לחזור לשנת 1948, ולקיבוץ כמובן.
הייתי בן בוני קיבוץ סער על יד נהריה ב-1948, עם הקמת המדינה, וניהלתי שם את גן הירק. בגן הירק, בזמן שחרשתי עם מחרשה ערבית, עם פרץ שקראו לו טמבל, כי הוא היה די טיפש, אז הוא נתקל בטילים גדולים מאוד מאוד. כל פעם כשהוא נתקל בטילים הגדולים האלה, הוא נתן לי מכה בבטן עם המחרשה. פתחתי תל אחד גדול וגיליתי מלון עם 5 כוכבים. זה היה תל ההמלטה של החולת. ואז חשבתי לעצמי, איזו חיה מדהימה. חיה קטנה כזאת, עיוורת, זאת חיה שכדאי לחקור אותה. והחלטתי, שנה אחת אני מקדיש לחיה הזאת. עד היום, 70 שנה אחרי זה, אני מתחיל לחקור אותה, מתחיל.
לצד מחקר החולד העיוור, פנה פרופסור נבו לחקור התפתחויות אבולוציוניות נוספות. בשנת 1975 החל במחקר אבולוציוני של דגניים, בעיקר של אם החיטה ואם השעורה. באמצע שנות ה-90 חבר לפרופסור סולומון וסר, חוקר מהמכון לאבולוציה, והשניים גילו יחדיו כ100 מיני פטריות בים המלח, שהיה ידוע עד אז קים המוות. לקראת סוף שנות ה-90 הוא פיתח את אחת מפריצות הדרך המזוהות ביותר עמו, נחל האבולוציה.
בעצם זה כאילו קרבת את אירופה לאפריקה למרחק של 100 מטר למטה ו400 מטר למעלה.
לאורך השנים הצליחו פרופסור נבו ועמיתיו לזהות 4 נחלי אבולוציה בישראל. במעבדות הטבעיות הללו הם גילו עשרות מינים של צמחים ובעלי חיים שעברו אבולוציה שונה על כל מדרון. קשה שלא להידבק במרץ הבלתי אפשרי כמעט שפרופסור נבו מקרין על סביבתו ובלהט שלו למחקר אבולוציוני. כשמנסים להבין את סוד הקסם שלו, תשובתו פשוטה. גנטיקה כמובן.
אמא שלי הייתה מורה והיא מאוד מאוד אהבה טבע, והיא הייתה מגדלת קרפדות בצריף הישן שבו גרנו, בגיגיות גדולות בסלון. אבא שלי, שהיה תלמיד חכם מוולוז'ין ובא לארץ בגיל 14, ועבר לגדל שקדים וגפנים ופרחים. זאת אומרת, למעשה הייתה לי סביבה תרבותית וגנטית, שים לב.
הישגיו המרשימים לאורך 70 שנות מחקר הביאו לזכייתו בפרס ישראל למדע בשנת 2016. אחד מאבות הביולוגיה האבולוציונית. נימקו השופטים את בחירתו.
I have the pleasure of calling our president, Professor Ron Robin, to the podium.
Abi, our founding father here at the University for Sciences. From the Institute of Evolution to the Faculty of Natural Sciences, you have built and lived to see it grow. This is a university with a very small number of STEM researchers. We were just discussing this issue. And you are absolutely the superstar that we have here. Your discoveries, I counted 1,200 articles. I'm sure I miscounted. There must be more. And you have taken the science of evolution to a different plateau. Abi, you are the most fruitful researcher I've met in my entire life, and I've been in a few universities. This is not the only university that I know. And you're one of the first people I wanted to meet when I became president. Abi is a living example of what is possible, and if you're fully committed, even at the age of 90, I'll tell you a little story about Abi. I have a few stories. I'll tell you this one. I once met one of your students, and she said, I'm smitten. I'm in love with Abi. And I told her, watch out. He'll dump you for a blind mole any day. So you have two precious grandchildren. I don't think they're here today, Noam and Oran, and I saw your daughter Orit, of course. I wish to thank you, all the family, for putting a smile on Abi's face, and I've seen the beautiful drawings of your grandchildren in your office. When I looked at those drawings, I was reminded of a story that Ada Yonat, a Nobel Prize laureate, once told me. She once received a drawing from her granddaughter which says, to the best grandma in 2007. And she said, oh, why 2007? Why not just to the best grandma? He said, oh, you have to work at it every year. And to you, Abi, you indeed work for it every single day. And I know that your family, alongside your work, means the world to you. Your contributions to the university have been unbelievable. You have qualified and inspired an entire generation of researchers, not only here, but all over the world. And I wish to thank you on behalf of this entire community for your incredible legacy. Toda rabba. Thank you, Abi.
Thank you, Professor Robin. To join our president on stage and to honor Professor Neveu, I call to the stage a supporter of the university, a longtime member of the Board of Governors and a dear friend of Professor Neveu, Professor Sir Walter Bodmer, who has also asked to say a few words.
It's a pleasure to be here at this celebration, and in a way I represent the field to some extent that Abi has worked in so hard and for so many years. I've known Abi now for more than 45 years, and we first met in the early 1970s when he was in the kibbutz Sa'ar, and when I first met Orit when she was a little girl running from the child's house to her parents' house. I won't say a lot. You've heard a lot about his work, which is quite remarkable, but I want to say he's a remarkable person in so many ways. And one of the things that's remarkable is he remains as active now, mentally, as he was when we first met. And it was Abi, as you've heard, who realized the enormous opportunities for work in field studies on evolutionary genetics in Israel, and built up the unique institution of the Institute of Evolution in Haifa University, which continues today to be outstanding in the work that it's doing. And I've just spent a day and a half at a wonderful celebration of Ebi's work, which was a reflection of how much people appreciate the major contributions he's made in science. He combined his fieldwork with incisive contributions to genetically based evolutionary theory. And in this, he's certainly one of the leading evolutionary geneticists, is the leading evolutionary geneticist in Israel and a world leader in his field. Of course, discussions with Ebi are always very lively. I think you can't have a good scientific relationship unless you're prepared to argue from time to time. But what I want to say finally is the institution of evolution, as you've heard, was the first serious scientific activity in Haifa University, in the natural sciences. It's hard to imagine nowadays a university that didn't have a major contribution of the natural sciences, both in the biological and medical side, and what some people call the hard sciences, but I think as a biologist, I'm quite a hard scientist too, the physical sciences, mathematics and engineering. And I want to say that I think the Institute of Evolution still has an enormous opportunity for driving the future of evolutionary genetic studies. And it's certainly, I would say, a continuing goal and should be of the university to maintain this institute as a center of excellence in the natural sciences on this campus. Its activities are complementary to what you will have heard about the marine sciences and the medical sciences, and indeed evolutionary science and what is done in genomics is a very good part of the big data analysis. You could argue that a lot of what goes on in big data analysis, a term I'm a little afraid of, actually comes from many of the things that are done in genomics. So I do hope that the university will take the opportunity to maintain this first-class institution as a star activity on this campus. So, Ebi, I want to say again, I want you to continue your evolutionary studies. Someone said that they wanted to celebrate your 180th birthday. I think that's going to be difficult, but I certainly want to be present at your 100th anniversary. Thank you again very much.
Professor Neveau, I invite you to respond.
I'm going to sit because it's easier for me. I hope you will hear me from I don't think I need the microphone. Dear Presidents, Rectors, board members, members of the conference we just terminated, I want to thank the University of Haifa for giving me 50 years of embracing art and research possibilities. This was a great, great opportunity for me, and I really appreciate and thank the university extremely so. I came, the first president of the university, Eliezer Rafaeli, invited me to establish the biological laboratories of the medical school in 1970. I started to build them. The medical school was here 1 year and then moved to the Technion. Then I had to ask myself what I am doing here. To establish another laboratory or department of biology was not a real vision. So I thought I'm going to take the most important science in the world, the science of evolution, which is the core of all sciences, the core of the humanistic sciences, the core of the naturalistic sciences, and the social sciences. So evolution is not only a profession or a single item that you can research or teach individually. It embraces everything that occurs from the Big Bang till our brain and culture, which means that it embraces all cosmic, biodiversity, life, and cultural evolutions. So the Evolution Institute I started here started with one laboratory in 1972, increased to 25 laboratories in 2008 when I terminated my position as director of the Institute. The Institute was unique in theory, practice, and essentially was in the world frontier of evolutionary sciences. I wonder if I can get now one slide only to show you what was the basic model organisms the university worked on. Can I get the slide, please? If it's not ready, I'll skip it. Not ready? Not ready, no. Okay. So, in 1991, after the disintegration of the former USSR, I observed 25 Jewish scientists from the former USSR to the Institute of Evolution. Some of them were world leaders in their field. Most of them are now retired or sick, or even one passed away. So we remained without the core of scientific leadership that we had and brought us to the frontiers of world science. In 2008, the Senate of the university accepted a new regulation that new positions will go only to faculty departments. My request from the administration of the university, from the Senate of the university, to revise this regulation. The reason is simple. Across the world, across history, institute of research, where the dynamo which leads universities, as you can see it beautifully in Germany. When you compare the Max Planck with the German universities. I think that the university could revise this regulation and enable us to replace the 25 people I absorbed from the former Soviet Union. Of course, not in 1 year, several, but this should be a program. This should be the vision, because continuity of uniqueness and success should never be terminated. These are the tools of any university in the world to become a universal university. And I think that if this regulation will be revised, we can essentially become what we have been in the frontiers of evolutionary science. And remind you again, evolutionary science is the core of all sciences. And the future of humanity is very much dependent on this theory and its implementation. Thank you very much.
Mazal tov, Professor Nevo. May you enjoy many more years of fruitful research. עד 120. שסבתא שלי אומרת, עד 136. This moving tribute marks the end of this plenary session. Once you exit the auditorium, lunch will be served in the foyer. Each table will seat a different researcher, and you are encouraged to take your seats with them and ask them anything about the research. They are eager to meet all of you and share their work. After lunch at 2 p.m., you are all invited to the cornerstone laying ceremony of the Wild Cereal Gene Bank, which will take place next to the Hatter Student Building. We will provide guidance to the site after lunch. Thank you all for allowing me to be your MC this morning. It was a great pleasure, and I wish all of you an exciting and wonderful time on campus. Litrot.